Okay guys, welcome to another video for all things silhouette and sublimation. I needed to make a couple of shirts this morning, so I thought I would show you really quickly how I do it. There's lots of different ways you can do this. Everybody has their own preferences, their own times, temps, things like that. But this is just what I have found that works for me. The first thing, of course, you're going to do is print out your image. And then what I like to do is I like to tear the paper around my image, okay? So I'm just doing a nice tear down the side here. And what that will do is help decrease those hard paper lines. Sometimes if you have too much pressure, you will actually see the outline of the paper marks on your shirt. So that kind of helps with that. The other thing I like to use is a pressing pillow. These come in all different sizes. Lots of people sell them, and I've even made my own, and I can't sew. But anyway, normally we do not use Teflon when we are working with sublimation. There are a few exceptions, and this is one that I like because I like that I can slip this Teflon pillow easily in my shirts, versus if I'm just using just the foam, trying to get that foam in there is kind of a pain in the butt. Okay, so I can just usually, since you guys are all watching, it's going to be difficult, but normally I can just kind of slip that in there. Now I have my press set at 383, anywhere from 380, 385 is what I normally press shirts. So let me make sure you guys can see. I'm going to turn the camera just a bit. Okay, so I am getting this lined up here on my press. This is threadable, but for me, I don't know, I've just gotten into the habit of using the pressing pillows, so I just kind of like to use those. My press is a DK20 swing away, and I'm just kind of centering my shirt here on the press, and then I am going to lint roll. Now, it's not as important to lint roll, I guess, on these gray shirts because the spots don't show up as much, but if you're doing a white shirt and you have any lint or fuzz on that shirt, when you press it, it's going to turn blue. And then you're going to wonder, why do I have little blue spots all over my white shirt? And that's what it's from. But again, it doesn't show up as much on the gray, and there's been times I forget to lint roll. So that's not quite as important on these little bit darker shirts. Okay, so I'm just kind of making sure I have it centered here. Then I'm going to take my image, make sure I get the right one for the front here. I just come down about 4 or 5 feet. I have smaller hands, so some people will say come down 3 fingers. Well, for me, that's about 4. So I don't necessarily measure unless I'm doing a bunch of shirts of the same design and I want them to be all exactly the same. Then I might take a little more time and actually measure. But these are just some one-offs, so I'm not going to worry about measuring. And then I'm just kind of holding it up here, make sure I kind of have it centered. And this is thankfully a design that the font's kind of not real straight anyways, so real level. So if I get a little cockeyed on the shirt, it's not going to be as noticeable. Okay, I think that's pretty good. Let me just make sure I got it where I want it. Okay. Okay, the next thing that I am going to use, I'm going to use a cover sheet, a piece of paper to protect my press. Now, we've had a discussion on this. Just a minute, I'll be right back. What I am using, this is packing paper that you can buy at Walmart. It's called, I think, Duck Brand. It's already cut in sheets, and it's cut in these nice big sheets, okay? And this is what I like to use. Let me get this press going, and I will then explain to you why that we use this and not Teflon, okay? Now, I don't have a very heavy pressure. I don't feel like you need a lot of pressure. On shirts, some items you do, but on shirts, I don't. And I'm going to press this for 1 minute or 60 seconds. Okay. So it's just almost kind of sitting on the shirt. It's not a lot of pressure. Okay, so why do I like the packing paper? If you guys can see how it's hanging over the press here, it's big enough that it covers the whole press. And one thing people have problems with is like ghosting. Ghosting is where sometimes when you open up your press, like that air rushes in, and then what happens is your transfer paper will shift a little bit, and that leaves you like a ghosted image. So one thing that helps by using these big pieces of paper that like covers the whole press is when I open my press, that air can't rush in. It's not going to rush up underneath here and get in there. So it kind of helps to protect that. Now I know a lot of people might use tape or pro spray or something like that, and I don't like using that on fabrics. So to me, it's just easier to cover the whole thing with paper. Okay, and when I do open the press, I open it easy. I don't just whip it open. I like to open it up easy. Okay, I'm going to lift off my paper here. I'm going to lift off that. Then I just, while it's still hot, I give it a few shakes like I'm shaking a rug. Okay. And then I don't have any press lines. You don't see any lines from the paper. Okay, and you've got a good shirt here. Now, another reason I don't use the Teflon to cover my shirts on top. One, Teflon holds in moisture. Moisture is your enemy when it comes to sublimation. So I don't know the whole science behind it all, but from what I understand, the sublimation ink goes from a solid state to a gas state without going through the water state, I guess. So anyway, you do not want water in with your sublimation at all. And Teflon can hold that water in. Now also look at my cover sheet here. See that? So if I was to use Teflon, see how there's ink on here? There would be ink on my Teflon. And then when I would go to press the next item, you're running the risk of transferring the ink that's on your Teflon onto your shirt. Now, if you're doing a small item, I know one lady was using Teflon and she had no issues. But if you're using a small item and your transfer paper, you've printed out your image, and that transfer paper kind of covers that whole substrate, that whole blank, well, there's no place for that to transfer to. But when I'm doing a t-shirt, my transfer does not cover that whole t-shirt. So when I put the Teflon over this, if there's some ink on that Teflon outside of this piece of paper, it can transfer to the t-shirt, okay? So that's why you really don't want to use Teflon. And this, I will not use it again. Throw it away. We're done with it. Don't use it again. We do use Teflon a lot when we're doing like HTV, the heat transfer vinyl, so forth. But with sublimation, there's a few exceptions for using Teflon, but you just almost never use it as your cover sheet. Okay, I hope that kind of helps. I've got one more shirt of this one to do on the back side, but I just kind of wanted to give you a general idea on how I do my shirts. The other thing, let me just show you really quick. Let me get my pressing pillow back on here. When I say I've got a light pressure, when I shut this, see, I can still open that press. I can move it. It's not down real tight. So again, t-shirts normally, 100% polyester t-shirts do not take a lot of pressure. And the shirts that I am using, these are Gildan brand. They are 100% polyester, but they are the ones that feel like cotton, okay? So anyway, I hope that helps, and we'll be making some more videos. If you have some suggestions on what you'd like you would like to see us do, just leave a comment and let us know. Thank you.